Hi, I'm Kawa, and this is QWA Podcast. In this show, we invite friends from the architectural fraternity for a casual conversation. From design think tank to integrated practice, we discuss the trials and tribulations of architectural pursuit. We hope this informal sharing will spark conversation among the listeners. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Today with me, we have Jowin Foo, which we met in Taylor's University. And I think I would describe Jowin as a very energetic student back in those years. He is full of ideas, has a lot of energy, has met with a lot of people, read a lot of books, and I think eventually in the semester that we met, I knew that he was something special. So before we begin, Jowin, maybe you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about JFXA.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the kind words, Kawa. So dear all, I'm Jowin. Graduate from the Butler School of Architecture. My research actually agendas encompass within the scope of platform capitalism, cognitive and media architecture, and some design fiction. And I believe that the emerging, I believe that, hold on, sorry. I believe that the emerging platform technologies of the 21st century would be the dominant paradigm that alters the way society, economy, and politics perform in the near future. So the new normal will be the future where we will face complex issues that deal with surveillance economy, tech gentrification, and design ethics. And I am confident that the field of architecture will evolve and develop into a diverging field that will help contribute to developing new lexicons for complex interventions. And and I'm currently an independent researcher, writer, and architecture designer that is based in Kuala Lumpur. And I hope to broaden the architecture agenda, design pedagogy, and be involved in policy making in the future. So, what is JFXA about? I mean, JFXA is almost like my own research platform that I do computations and come up with research agendas and document all kinds of things that fits into my research agenda that I mentioned there on. So JFXA means just for experimental architecture or just for non-architecture, and also Jowin Foo X architecture.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that is very prevalent. Your curiosity, no boundaries. I think a few months ago you initiated a supermarket typology research, which I
Yeah.
believe in a way that you frame the research, it is a crowdsourcing methodology. What are the aim and the possible outcome from this particular research?
Oh, okay. So first of all, right, like I just want to I just want to first of all I just want to clarify that it was driven by my curiosity on tech gentrification into our everyday life, and yes, continually play a major role in shaping all every aspect of human life and also the condition of the earth itself. So as we all know by now, right, like supermarket has become like sort of like an agora, and then sort of like a public space that we all go and um, that we source for our needs and supplies. I mean, especially during COVID-19, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I see supermarket as a perfect fit, right? To actually study this sort of very mundane tech, right? How it influences our everyday life, such as like the food tech, and then ingredients itself, and also how it designed to make us buy more, invest more in buying stuff. So so what is my eventual desired outcome for the research? I think I think because it, I think 21st century and supermarket itself is an interesting intersection of tech and life and earth. So right now, I think I'm actually documenting the 21st century of supermarkets um, that the design outcome going to be an archive that actually show us details, um, how many kinds are there, and then and also into more further detail is where does the material come from, and then how these actually motivate us to buy more, and then how these materials behind all this food actually um, influencing the way we terraform our earth and also develop the industrial complex that we have right now. And it goes back to also basically is just like an anchor that you can study all kinds of political conditions and relationship from the supermarket itself. Looking at the relationship between the products and the countries. Let
Right.
me say that, yeah.
It's interesting because it reflects other things that are happening in a particular locality. So how
Yeah.
does people get on board? I mean, how do they reach you? And for now, as of now, how many, or how the research has progressed?
I think because I just started actually, I have this idea have in my mind for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just because of the COVID, it just becomes something so amplified, and then I just started it like a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then for the first one I was just planning how long I should take to document this. I think right now is the first stage where I just sampling all kinds of sampling the method that I'm using, the crowdsourcing methods, that I get all these documents, not documents, but some qualitative and quantitative research data from people, such as photos and some journalism, some oral journalism, so
Right.
forth. I think it's just the first stage. And then for this, right, I just for information, it is a long-term research that I plan. I think it's gonna cut across 10 years in a few stages. Right now, I think it's still at the first stage, the first section of first stage, where it will have a bit of documents come out by this year end, I hope, such as a few articles and also some compiled diagrams that talk about this supermarket. I hope lah. Yeah, right
Yeah.
now I'm just collecting photos so that in the future I can develop a web-based archive that can map the whole world itself. Yeah.
Yeah, even now today you can see a lot of supermarkets, a lot of retail outlets are employing, automatic temperature
Yeah.
detector, some face recognition
Yeah.
for monitoring COVID-19. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe we jump to education for a while, and a lot of
Okay.
new design school actually use affiliate program with a UK
Mhm.
school to create instant credibility and convince more people to enroll.
Yeah.
Intern sometimes it become advert and has been weaponized as a marketing ploy. I think this is not exclusive to design school. There's a lot of law school, business school in Malaysia has done such
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
how do you feel about a over commercialized school that actually bundle a UK certificate together when you are graduated, and how does that differ or make you a bit more desirable in the job market?
I think okay, I mean this is a very interesting question. Like for instance, uh, I think it has to do with okay, it has to do with how the tutor view this. I don't know. Some tutor might view this as a sort of like a easier platform for them to actually teach, but some might view this as a sort of a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like if you, for instance, if you bundle with some I mean some very top UK degrees from very top UK institution, right, it might be a very good game changer for a local school, a local design school that is commercial. I mean commercialized is the thing that we need in this capitalized world, but how do you actually tame it, right?
Right.
And yeah, but if the local school itself doesn't use that opportunity correctly, such as learning from the top institution, how to actually implement all this, the way they teach the pedagogy that they have that makes them a top institution in abroad or internationally, but but instead using it as a own agenda platform, then it will be a waste for maybe from the start. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And does it make a difference in the job market? I think from my experience, because I did have a double degree. One
Right.
is from UK institution. I think it it does. I mean, especially in this. I'm talking in a more specific in Asia context.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit. There's a little bit of bias that when you see a student have a usual degree. I mean, you sort of have a different status compared to a local ones because the
Right.
view you can have more quality things like this. Yeah, it does make a difference, and also I think I think also applying for the education, it also make things easier. But the concern is whether the local institution utilize this sort of partnership responsibly
Mm.
and efficiently, and also are they learning from them? Have they progressed or not?
Right.
Yeah, I think this is the problem that we should look at, because I think UK institution also commercialize in a way, but still
Mm-hmm.
remain very research based and very driven by progressiveness. Yeah.
So school politics are also a challenge, I would say, across the globe. And recently in AA, there's a friction that resulted to a no confidence vote against the director, and it's an overwhelming 80%. And
Yeah.
some might say it is a clash between two directions. But I guess we never know about the real story because we are not in that particular system. So
Yeah.
what is your main concern with regards to future architecture education? What is more prevailingly important? Is it abstract thinking or a bit more practical? Because it seems like that's what's going on in AA's
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I can't comment a lot on the AA because I'm not AA alumni, but
Right.
I have friends from there actually told me some stuff. I mean, a bit stuff like Era's like manifesto at the start. I think she has a very interesting manifesto at the start, and I think her idea was to sort of dismantle sort of this architectural thinking into more a wider scope. Like instead of viewing as architecture, but we should look at architecture as a sort of assemblage of different disciplines. I think it was a good idea from my point of view, like looking at a broader scope, and
Right.
also the idea of looking into more local a local based knowledge because
Mm-hmm.
of the existing school they have. And I think for the draw for the drawback, I think it's a lot to do with how the school look at her as a personality, But we don't want to go to that stage. So I think which is more prevalent importance, abstract thinking and practical approach. I think abstract thinking is very important, especially in 21st century where tech actually become much more advanced right now, where
Mm-hmm.
building a building can be as simple as using a beam right now to design a building, and then engineer will sort of use that as information to construct it, right? And abstract thinking is important because we living in a complex world. Everything that we do, it
Mm-hmm.
influences the whole supply chain, and then okay, that's not the case. The supply chain actually influence the way how Earth geopolitics perform, and also like the climate change. So I think abstract thinking is important for us to make um, for us to decide and think about what kind of decision what we want to make, and what kind of direction of research that we're going to move into. Because I don't believe the idea of like make things fast and break things fast. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
very counterproductive for Earth itself. But for tech, I think it's still okay because prototyping. But for us to build the real thing, right, I think it's really dangerous for us. And practical approach, I think practical approach is also as important for us to know practical knowledge. Because if you know how the thing is sort of constructed, and then you know the process of being on the site and constructions, right, it'll make us more critical about reality.
Right.
Uh, compared to we just abstracting on a paper itself. So, and then for the Bartlett, I mean, what I learned that we trying to balance both. We're not going extremely abstract thinking, but we
Right.
try to balance both with both is technically and also abstract thinking in both terms. So I think for me, I think it's no good to have more in one side, more
Mm.
and less the other side. It's good to have balance.
Right.
And also, if in industry itself, I also stress that I think it's important to have abstract thinkers and also practical thinkers. So we have
Mhm.
a balanced conversation instead of like too idealist and lack of realist.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So during your time at UCL Bartlett, I think you have explored and simulate a lot of scenarios where, how human sensory has become numb due to the
yeah,
intrusive use of technology in all part of their life. I think
yeah,
this normalization is already happening now in our
yeah,
life, in our workplace. So
yeah.
what is the conclusion that you managed to deduct from your thesis work, since we are, definitely on that path?
I think after 2008 the recession, I think
Mm-hmm.
the world direction shifted to this very fast-paced tech development because it gave you very quick equity returns and also ROI based on the market itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole market shift. And there's where tech bros actually become the sort of leaders, the architect of the reality. And and I think and then this actually supercharged the thing that we use, the thing that we produce, the tech that we use, and then the idea of make things break fast come true. Yes, I think tech advancement have moved to a very high stage, that we can do whatever dream and then we can make whatever thing come true. And all these situations that I've illustrated, right, I think it's a sort of outcome that we have right now and we live with it. And my deduction, my deduct, my out, my actually my conclusion draw from this actually we need to slow down and think.
Right.
Yeah. One part of the society need to slow down and think while the other side is progressively actually doing something. We can't have a society that all moving at the same progressiveness to sort of intervene, we someone need to stop and do some systemic thinking and also think about the consequences of every move that they make. So, for instance, I think tech is not as simple as we develop a platform, and then you just used it. But when we're developing, the other side of the world actually building data centers that actually melting the iceberg itself. So this is the consequences that we need to look into, and then other parts of it, right? The more human parts of it, all this technology influencing the way we perform. It's like you build something, it influences the way we live, and then for now we might no chance to sort of influence the way it performs because it sort of dominate us. It's not architecture, we still can mold it in the future, right? Yeah. So this is a concern. I think we need to stop a bit and
Mm-hmm.
think and reflect. Yeah. One
Yeah.
part of society to do that. Yeah. So that we have a balance of conversation like I have mentioned before, abstract thinking and the practical use of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think reflecting how currently AI has been used, especially in Malaysian politics, it
Yeah.
certainly has been used to sway support from one person to others. And obviously, as you mentioned, we didn't know the full extent of the power of this particular technology. But
Yeah.
you already can see this particular technology has been used to create and fabricate an alternate truth. Okay, for
Yeah.
example, a deep fake technology or
Yeah.
even social media extreme targeting like what we saw in Cambridge Analytica scandal.
Yeah.
So how does we slow down? How does we uh, make sure we understood the technology that impending to us? Because I think not many people are actually aware they are subjected to this social media targeting. Not many are people aware that actually some voice, some video might not be the person that is
Yeah.
actually portrayed.
Yeah. Okay, this is a very very interesting question. Like, I mean, this has been some question that we actually among my friends have been talking about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think okay. For my personal point of view, right, the solution for this right is not to design anything to intervene it because there's no point because the thing is society haven't catch up to the stage of understanding how this perform.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, I think right now to actually see this as a thing as a, I mean we can say as a threat and also opportunity to upskill everyone knowledge
Mm-hmm.
like to teach everyone about what is happening behind the scenes, you know, and then how all these uh, platform function. I mean, in a more educative way, because we need a policy to sort of like control the way we used it, not to control, but to sort of regulate how much they can take from us and how much we can take from them. You know, it's just like a law that maybe that protect us, like an architect laws that maybe protect us from having um, unknowledge, a chartered architect to build something that is dangerous for the people who used it. You know, because I think a designer and architect have different thing. You know, this architect is the one who actually look at the law and then are we actually abiding the law and then is this actually functioning for the people itself. But the
Right.
designer actually you can regionalize it. You know, I mean you can think and then you can do something. But we always need someone to actually to actually moderate it. We need the moderators right now.
Mm-hmm.
So so without but at the same time the society is so drawn to this sort of instant gratification apps and all this technology is fun, you know, and then it's pretty hard to actually tell them, oh, we need to moderate this now because we are going into the path that is so dangerous for our next generation, you know. I don't think and they'll actually listen because it's giving so much incentive to us right now. I think right now for us, I think we should it start with education. Tell them how is it functioning behind the door, you know, like how is it working, you know, like are you afraid? Like using a more down to earth analogy to tell stories. Like
Mm.
for instance, if I sell you something and then but this thing is following to your house, you know, you are buying something from supermarket, but the supermarket are following you back to the house. Are you afraid? Because they're gonna see what you're doing, you know.
Yes.
But today's supermarket they can't do that because they are at that place only. You go to that place
Mm.
and you purchase something from there. But today it's not. They are following you back home.
Mm.
It's like a it's unhealthy, you know, like so I would think like start with education to advocate like change so everyone aware, so everyone sort of collectively go to not protest, suggest that we need to moderate this, and then at the same time we develop a technology based on the moderation, but not to control everything, but we
Right.
need a common law, you know, like we agree, like social contract, we agree, okay, this is the limit we go. I think with limitation, I think sometimes with limitation, creativity might flourish. You know, without limitation, is dangerous. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also we need theory to we also emphasize a lot on theory to sort of help us to practice. Without theory, practice is dangerous. You know, yeah. Right now we have practice, but lack of theory to support us, to guide us. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think legal framework is way behind. There is no
Yep.
such social digital contract that is
Yep.
common around the
Yep.
world, and I
Yep.
think there's a lot of app that you might not felt that it is intrusive. For example, fit the face app where you can make yourself
Yep.
older, stuff like
Yep.
that. But actually, they're collecting more data than it should. To
Yep.
it doesn't have
Yep.
to collect that much data to change your face. Why not? But
Yep.
actually a lot of app are doing that as well, because at the end of the day, as we mentioned, I mean, as we know,
Yep.
data is the new goal. And I think
Yep.
there's also some level of easiness with analog like you mentioned, analog places like market. I
Yep.
mean, when you leave the market, you leave the market and it doesn't go home with you. And I think
Yep.
this AI technology also concern people with knowledge to it. Like for example, Elon Musk continuously, warning and give us doom prediction how we can
Yep.
eventually be controlled by advanced AI. In a way, it already does that. As we mentioned just now, the machine learning know how how we do
Yep.
things. where we go to work, where we live, and whatnot. And actually, they know a bit more better than ourselves. They know us better than ourselves, I would say. So since your work revolve around this sensory communication with binary world, where do you
Yeah.
think such technology can help us remain on top of AI advancement? As Neuralink, Elon Musk startup say, if you can't beat them, you have to join them. So do you think cyborg life is the only way us human can remain relevant?
Yeah, I think I just want to quote like from Donna Haraway that I think we are not going to cyborg life, but we are already a cyborg in some ways. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are is a kind of cyborg in many ways because we co-live with or we cohabit with all this technology and they grow with us. And if you can't beat them, join them like by Elon Musk, right? I don't know, like things actually preached by all these tech firms, right? I'm actually very skeptical. Sometimes it's very good to hear because it's very convincing in some ways. But the thing is, I would really concern, right? Yes, this sort of tech, right, might help us to stay on par with this sort of artificial intelligence doom days, you know. But the thing is, I'm concerning is like we are inserting some technology, right? Is funded by like tech companies, you know, and then they have all this issue right now. So how do we actually trust them? Because when there's no common law, we talk about, you know, like then and also look at us, right? As a commoners, we are not at the tech Silicon Valley, right? We are someone else. We don't have much knowledge about tech, especially for the next generation, right? And they are sort of like elitists or sort of aristocrat that have the power to tell us what to do. I think this is a bit dangerous because like we do have a common knowledge what is happening behind Neuralink, what's happening all this. Unless we have the common knowledge, right, then we can choose. Okay, I need that. But he's telling us a doomsday story, um, and then you need this because doomsday is coming. Like, should we be more? I think we should be more critical about what they say. Like, because same like these people, they are technologists. They are more like a plumber in society, right? They are fixing one thing. Where you fixing one thing at one time in a very contractual way. I mean, if you look at how plumber fix our plumbing, right? They are fixing just a pipe, right? But they're not thinking about okay, what is gonna happen next?
Right.
Should we replace the whole pipe? Things like this, and then should everyone know how to fix pipe? A simple pipe, like yeah, you know, things like this. I think yeah, same go back to one the moderations. Second is the common knowledge that we should share before we deciding going to that direction. Yeah, I mean he will sell this technology, but we have to have our own critical thinking to make a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we don't even have that power since we don't have the knowledge to decide. And all this narrative is actually eventually pushing to sell more, sell more stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, I think maybe you can tell us a bit more if somebody are interested, if a young designer today are interested to venture into this particular field of studying artificial intelligence in the context of architecture, what should they do? Is there any resource of material they can start with?
I think the relationship between architecture and all this technology has been I think it started in the 60s. It's been a long time, but and then the most and then the most radical ones it was in the 60s as well. The idea that actually reflect the 21st century technology, but they don't have the
hardware
capacity to do that. I think you can start looking into cybernetic theory. I mean, by Gordon Parks, like people like this, Gordon Parks and Cedric Price, go back to their works, analyze it. Like Cedric Price from Palace, I think this is a fundamental thing that you can start with. Because and then not to look at the form itself, but look at the ideas how he developed it. And then also Cedric Price also developed some more systems diagram that talks about systems architecture. And then all these are I would say a fundamental role that we orient ourselves architecturally in this 21st century to look into tech informed architecture. Yeah, start with cybernetic by Gordon Pass and static pies. These are the two prominent people at the time, and then slowly move into human and computer interactions ideas. Yeah, and then and then yeah, from there and then make some criticism and look into a more architecture theory based like plasma ideas, because plasma is informed by subjective experiences of spaces, but various technologies were objective, and then compare it and then make a more rational critique on it. And then start with all this, and then you slowly move into the direction.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jowin. I think you can follow GFXA on Instagram, spell at gfxa.co. And please subscribe to QWA YouTube channel. And thank you for joining us. Until the next one. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
If you enjoyed the session, be sure to subscribe to QWA YouTube channel so you will be notified if a new episode is posted. Thank you for listening. Until next time.